Hey everyone, welcome to another week of ProMAX Tech Talks. I'm Matt, I have my tech team here, and this week we're going to be hosting our virtual version of NAB since COVID-19 shut it down for all of us. So we're going to be talking about all the big things we would have been talking about just from our homes. So that's going to be remote workflows, our newest product NextFrame, and we'll see what else we come up with. So guys, one of the big things that we've really jumped into since COVID-19 hit, and we were planning on doing this ahead of time, was remote workflows, enabling those teams that are now forced to work from home to be able to collaborate like they were in the same office. Do you guys want to talk about some of the testing we've been doing, some of the deployments that we're testing out in the field right now? Brian, you want to lead us off?
Sure. So yeah, there's a lot of different answers to the whole remote workflow question, especially as it was forced on all of us, right? But none of them are particularly good, mostly because it involves a ton of change and it just switching everything up, right? So we've been looking at this for a while, and one of the things that we'd been exploring was more of a kind of a central, well, kind of a decentralized sync between your various users to kind of keep things moving and keep things moving between your work group, effectively. Because not only is there a question of bandwidth and just getting data to people, like that's the one that everybody knows about and everybody cares about, and there's hurdles for that. But ultimately, that basically is going to come down to what you choose to move and how big your internet bandwidth is, right? There's really no getting around those. The other side of it, though, that really starts to bottleneck people once they start to solve that first problem, or at least get over the first problem, is now you've potentially got multiple different copies of everything in a bunch of different places, and you've just decentralized, from your central storage kind of system that you've always had. So our system really is focused on A, moving things quickly, and B, keeping those things in sync and organized so that so that you can maintain that level of control over your projects and not have 6 different versions of a project out there in 6 different hard drives at 6 different people's houses. Because, man, backing that stuff up is, you think it's hard, you're recovering a project from 2 years ago right now. Wait until you try 2 years from now recovering a project from last month, because that is going to be ugly.
Yeah, and it's kind of brutal right now because I feel like everybody's like being beaten over the head with remote workflows. Like I see the most random are your shoelaces ready to work remote? And it's like, what the hell are you talking about? And there's like too much talk about the conversation because everybody's been forced to figure it out. Unfortunately, there's been a lot of noise created around VPNs and proxy workflows and stuff that has existed for a long time, but there's a reason that everybody hasn't adopted that stuff, because those workflows suck. Like they really do. And I say that, like, we set up our clients on VPNs all the time. We set them up with proxy workflows. Our system generates proxies. All of those are workflows that we've gotten away from for really good reasons. And Brian, you're absolutely right. Like the big problem with video, everybody knows it. It's these massive file sizes, and pushing a terabyte or 2 from site to site is not a quick, easy thing. But then this factor of data, and I've seen so many people, because VPNs ultimately they're just so damn slow. It's just like uselessly slow. And proxy workflows are cool on paper, but are so complex. And I've known very few people that have really loved their proxy workflow. It's a Band-Aid. And what I've seen most people do is like, let's just copy it to a hard drive. Let's go home. We'll work off this hard drive. We'll deal with it later. But that dealing with it later is that's why people went away from local storage in the first place.
Well, and that check's coming due pretty quick.
Oh man. It's good. I legitimately fear for so many of our customers who I know have just copied a bunch of data locally, and then everybody's going to be coming back to the office in 2 months and trying to figure out, okay, what should we copy back to the server, what not. It's a scary concept.
Absolutely. So to test this, we actually deployed it out in one of our customers' environments. You guys want to talk about a little bit how that's set up, how that looks, how that works, and what we can expect out of it?
Yeah, I can speak to that a little bit. So we've got a client that was doing basically education type work, marketing company or marketing group for a larger education unit. And they've got 3 editors, and they've got one of our platform servers in their facility. And so we've got them set up on this system where all 3 editors are syncing together, and it's all syncing back to the platform system. So as people are kind of ingesting new material or camera cards, I know somebody uploaded like 400 gigs the other night onto the network. So it's all syncing between each other and kind of keeping everything up to date. And again, the nice thing is, they're all working on kind of their own things, but they are, if they need to exchange information, they just open up the folder that's on their local device, and it's synced to the next person. So if I'm the After Effects guy and I create a title for you, Matt, I drop into the project folder, and within a few seconds, it's on your machine and you use it. And one of the key elements to this as well is when you are working from it, you are working from a local drive. The sync is happening from basically local drive to local drive at each of these locations. So your actual experience using it, they're editing from a fast SSD local drive, or multiple SSD local drives actually in this case. So they're getting a great performance. They're seeing great performance that they would expect, like they would be in the office connected 10 gig or something, and they still have that collaboration ability. And probably the best part is there's really nothing. There's no crazy interface here. There's nothing. They're just dropping stuff in folders and it's showing up. So their actual workflow is really not changing at all.
So pretty much their home is now their studio.
For all intents and purposes, yeah. You're obviously missing some hardware and stuff, but other than that, like, your data is largely available the same way you'd expect it to be. And on top of all of that too, from a data integrity perspective, everything that they're doing is syncing back to the main platform system that they have, which their IT team has that under a backup plan. So that's getting backed up. So there's not a lot of concern around a version of the file going off on its own and going missing somewhere. But yeah, it's worked out very well. There's some of these guys have gigabit Ethernet, some of them have pretty slow Ethernet, and I think one is actually just on Wi-Fi. Like, in general, like it's pretty ugly for that particular box. But the smaller files and stuff, obviously, if they're taking that into account and doing local transfers when they have to.
Yeah, and the important thing with that, though, Brian, is, as you pointed out to me, is it's only syncing the changes. So the really important thing here is the individual's internet connection makes no difference in them actually working on their project.
Correct.
Like the two are separated, which is a surprisingly elegant way to do it. Like, I'm pretty harsh on VPN and proxy workflows because I've just seen them fail so many times. And I know it's like what a lot of people are preaching, but I just don't think they're good. Like I said earlier, I have never met a client that's like, VPN is amazing, we're loving our video editing.
Yeah, Mike, how many people have you seen struggling with that over the past couple of weeks?
Everyone. I even struggle just sending files back and forth to the office and a client.
I was going to say too, so one of the key components around this too, there's 2 other things to mention. So for these guys in particular, the ones that we're talking about, they had a few terabytes of data that they were planning on working with. So what they did is they took it local. They had one person go take it local, made those copies to the devices, the media hubs that we're talking about. And then they brought those to the locations, and to Nathaniel's point, that the sync kicks on, and now they're syncing the individual changes that are occurring and keeping everybody up to date. A few people did upload a lot of data to the network remotely, and it is keeping up with that. But the slower systems, obviously, it's to be expected. But that's, again, the internet bandwidth situation, right? But the individual changes to projects, things like that, little graphics, that's all pushing through the network. The other thing that is absolutely worth mentioning is probably one of the best parts about this setup is because it's on a local drive, because it's, they're on Max, it's mounting with the drive letter and the right, the right drive information, the right pathing information. When they go back, they'll open the project and it'll just be linked.
Yeah.
So, to your point, Nathaniel, when it comes to like proxy editing, stuff like that, like relinking, going through all this, like relinking from an external drive, things like that, that's largely sidestepped in this. There's a few situations where it might come into play, but it's really going to be minimized. It's going to be pretty transparent.
Yeah, I mean, it's truly having, a local version of your shared storage. The only other solution I've seen out there that's really getting any traction, in our part of the market is the TCO OIP options, which I think are pretty cool. Like, I think there's some real meat to that workflow. This is what we're talking about, what we're doing in the TCO IP thing. If I'm running a facility, those are the two options I would look at. I of course have a bit of a preference for ours, but at the same time, I also think the Mac connectivity, the Mac support is really an important thing. That's a critical thing for almost all of our customers. And it was funny. I was talking with I think Jess was the one that brought it up the other day with the TCO IP thing. Because you have to have a high-speed workstation back at your office that you're remoting into, it doesn't work if your editing system is a laptop, which is actually a lot of customers these days. Like, I don't know what you would say, Brian. I would guess probably 30 to 40% of our customers are editing off of laptops, like as their main.
That's probably pretty close, and there's I think even more that. If they have a high-end desktop, they almost certainly have a relatively high-end laptop that they do other stuff on. Or, even if it's not a work issued thing, a lot of us, have our own gear that's just as good in a lot of cases. We're all geeks like that, right? So yeah, like it gives you a little bit more flexibility in that.
Perfect. Thanks, guys. So now that editors can start to connect to their storage from home, one of the big issues they're seeing now is that they can't go on site to get a shoot and get that footage that they need to work on. We were actually developing this product before COVID-19 happened. It just happened that the timing lined up. But we're bringing we're making editors and video producers able to create content, collect content from testimonials, all from their cell phone. And Nathaniel, do you want to talk a little bit about our new product, NextFrame?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely kind of halfway between the pro video market and the marketers kind of take on video, which are two separate worlds. And I think if I had to say it's really designed more from the marketing perspective, but I think you hit the nail on the head there, which is every single customer I've talked to has made the transition home. They're working from home. They figured out what they're going to do. But you're totally right. New projects haven't really started happening again. Like people can't even like really go out to get new footage right now. So it was interesting. We were talking with one of our customers last week, Patrick from APCO.
Absolutely.
And yeah, and he was bringing up some points about high quality footage is critical. It's important. But people might be a little bit more forgiving moving forward. And the thing that you keep pointing out, and we all know this, you've got to watch out for audio. But I don't think it's gonna ever replace, and its intent is not to replace going out and doing production work on pieces of video that need real production work done. But one of the trends that has really come into play in the last few years in any business trying to grow itself, is content marketing, SEO strategies. Most marketers understand these days, like, you should be putting out daily video content for your brand. Like you simply should. It will help grow your brand. We do this. Like we've seen it work.
Absolutely. We've seen it grow our business by 3-4x.
Oh, it's insane. And but that's not something that you're going to necessarily go out and do a shoot for every day. You're going to kill yourselves if you try to do that. So This is, kind of blurring some of those lines together to help, whether it's a video professional or a marketing professional, be able to say like, hey, here's some topics I need, here's some footage I need, assign it to somebody, and then not have to go through the whole process of like, oh, upload it to this Dropbox, and then, somebody's calling you like, how do I get this file off of my phone? Can I just email it to you? And like, it can turn into a nightmare real quick.
Absolutely. We've messed around with this product a little bit ourselves. It's going out for beta in the next couple of weeks. So we'll keep you posted on when that becomes available. It's really cool. It's going to really change the way that you create content for your business. We're all a little confused on what might happen. So let's look to the future.
Yeah, let's look to the future. And, I think it's going to be, I think the two big challenges, we're one of them coincidentally, like you said, and one of them intentionally, us and all of our competitors, all the manufacturers out there. It's going to be, how do I get new content, and how do I, collaborate and work on that new content remotely, just as well as locally. And, we're hyper focused on both of those questions right now.
Yeah.
Awesome. Did you have something to say, Brian, or?
No, I just, the only thing I'll mention is I kind of glossed right over what the kind of a product that we were talking about for the remote sync, but for us, that's the Media Hub with the remote server sync software that's installed. So you'll see more about that specifically, but that's kind of the title that's flying under. And then NextFrame, which is a big deal. So,
all right. Well, you heard it here first. Keep your eyes out for more information coming about remote workflows and NextFrame. Join us next week for another Tech Talk. And if you haven't already, hit that red subscribe button. We'll look forward to seeing you next week. Thanks, everyone.